Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I think being with people makes anything a party. Thanks for coming to ours. I'm here with my good friend Amy. For years, we've spent the early morning hours running and talking together before diving into our days.
Hey, I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
I have just had a couple things on my mind this morning, and just want to bounce them off of you, Lorna.
Awesome.
Let's see what you think about them. So as I was getting ready to sit down with you today, I was warming up my lunch and stuff, and I was trying to get my Walmart order in, which I had meant to do yesterday. And I have to drive a certain distance to Walmart and also drop off a child. And so there's kind of like a time constraint, not that it has to be that way, but if I don't want to make a second trip, I need to get it in by a certain time. So I was like, oh, I need to do that. I kind of wish I had just done this yesterday, like I had written down. But my yesterday was just totally different than I expected. I had kids home from school. And things kept shifting, first of all, until yesterday. And then my husband and my 14-year-old were going to go have a fun day together. Well, I get a call from my husband and he's like, hi. So I just got pulled over. I was going too fast. My fault, whatever. But he took my license. He was going to give me a warning. He took my license like they do. And he came back and he's like, your license was denied. And I was like, what? And so my son and my husband were going to St. George, like 3.5 hours away. And they were only, and I was like, well, where did this happen? Where are you? And they were only like 30 minutes away. So I was like, oh, well, that's good. But he's like, I'm trying to decide what to do now. And so long story short, he ends up back at home because like, I want to get this taken care of. And it's something kind of with work, where he has a certain kind of license because of his job. And so he's like, maybe it's just this paperwork thing. And I'm like, okay. Well, is this a time where I enjoy the fact that the reason I have chosen to set my life up the way I have is so I have flexibility. So yesterday I chose like to hang out with people, kind of just wander around the house here and there. And then we seriously just watched the show we've been watching, like a couple different episodes of it, which we almost never do that. We'll sit down and watch one, maybe two, but we just like got pizza, vegged on the couch because the kids had different things. Oh, they had track practice, then they were home for half an hour. Oh, then they had this, then they were home for half an hour. So it was just a crazy day. So all that being said, that's all the background. But today then, I'm like, some of these systems that help me, it almost feels like if one thing in the system shifts a little, then the whole system falls apart. And I wasn't feeling like that. I mean, that makes it sound like I was really feeling like it was a catastrophe. And this morning I wasn't. It was more just like, that is interesting. So I've been thinking about just how to work with that, right? Like, oh, well, maybe I would enjoy having a little more white space, right? And to date, I'm just like, it's fine. I'm just going to do it now. And that's what's going to happen. But I'm just thinking about systems. So there's not really a question in that or anything, except for like, what thoughts do you have? Have you ever found that when you have some systems rolling, that one thing changes because you want to be flexible, but then it affects everything else and how to just navigate that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like sometimes that has happened and I've rolled really well with things. And sometimes it has happened and I'm forgetting things. I'm dropped because everything shifted and then I can't keep it straight.
Right.
So I feel like I've had great success at times and then really kind of floundering and trying to make it work at times too. But I agree with you. Like, I think the goal as moms that we both have kind of set is to be available for our kids and family, our spouses too, as they're available. And so then of course that's how I would have wanted to handle it too. But then what?
It's an interesting kind of animal.
Right.
Because sometimes it just feels really good to be like, snow day, cool, let's have fun. But even that, I'm like, oh, the kids are home. Okay, we'll do something fun. So Nels was going to go do something fun with one of the kids. And then I was going to stay here because our youngest was still in school. But I'm like, oh, well then when he gets home, we could do this. Or my oldest we'll have this intentional conversation in the morning, but do something fun when he gets back. And then he's like, well, my friend is opening a mission call at this time. And it was great and it was fine, right? But it just kept evolving. And I think there are some days where holding on to like the commitments I'd made to myself for what I was going to do would have been the thing that felt good for me. But yesterday, I'm just like, that doesn't feel great to me. Okay, guys, guess you're all here. I'm gonna go do my thing that I had planned. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just to observe it. And when we do it in a way that afterwards we have kind of that yuck feeling, where it's like, I didn't love that, then we can just explore that a little bit and figure out where the yuck feeling came from. Because sometimes the yuck feeling just comes from like, there was one thing that was important to me that I could have still gone ahead and done and then been flexible the rest of the day. When we feel fine about it, we can also recognize it's because like I still got up and exercised as normal. And I think if I hadn't done that either, like some of my basic things, that would have given me the yuck feeling, right?
I think that's interesting too, like the whole yuck feeling, because I think there have been times where I've tried, like I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it, and then I'm kind of flailing and feeling kind of uptight about it.
Yeah.
Right? Where
Mhm.
even if it's not a problem, I'm just still not able to enjoy what's going on. And then there have been the times where I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is okay. I am intentionally choosing to let the things go. And then I can kind of relax myself as I'm being flexible. Does that make sense? Like I can still be kind of present the same, but on the inside, I'm doing it differently and maybe a little more on edge. But I do love to be like to check in with myself when I make a decision and I'm changing it up or whatever, that I check in and see how I'm feeling so then I can decide.
Right.
Okay, I'm feeling uptight about this. Is this a problem? I don't have to feel uptight about this. And I'm probably feeling uptight because I feel like I have so many other things to do on my list. But am I really going to let it all go today so I can be present?
Right.
Or do I need to say, nope, I'm actually going to do these other things?
Right. And I think sometimes it's just the change, right? Sometimes that's it, because I did have just some kind of big openings, or I kind of had the fun, like this is going to be kind of fun. People are here. It just shifted for who was there, and so then it shifted the kinds of activities. And I do think it's good sometimes to just take a second and be like, okay, wait, am I just going to own this? And I'm just going to embrace it. And the intention here is that embracing of it and whatever. And sometimes we can think we made that decision. And then, like you said, we keep feeling that, like, I still feel disgruntled. Why is that? And so we can just take another minute, right? Like if it comes up again, just take a minute and do it. And I at the end of yesterday, I didn't have yuck feeling. I had a little more blah. I often feel blah when I watch a lot of TV, like any show. It doesn't really matter what it is. And I think it's just when I spend that much time sitting in one place, whatever. And so even last night, as I was having the blah feeling, I'm like, yep, I know. That's just what happens and it'll be fine. I'm going to go to bed tonight and tomorrow will be different. So I haven't had the yuck feeling because I just knew, right? I just knew where it came from.
Love that. In that, even just the awareness, like, yep, sometimes like today's a day that I feel this. Okay. And it's fine, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes we make it be a problem and then we throw on like the guilt of, oh, I shouldn't have done that. This was so dumb. Like, why did I spend my time doing this? Where in reality, there's nothing wrong with it. Like you chose intentionally, you were able to spend some time with your family. Right. And that's how it ended up, right? Anyway, so good job on that too. But what else? Was there more you were going to say too?
I don't know if there was, well, and I guess just as far as like the whole systems thing, systems are really helpful because it helps me just like, I get more done in a shorter amount of time, which means then I can have time to just be flexible, right? I mean, there's a reason for the systems. It's not just so I can have a longer to-do list or whatever, but it can also help me think about like, okay, this particular thing, because it's like the grocery shopping for the food for the next week, that's something where I might be like, I am just going to go ahead and do this. But really, I just forgot about it. And so I just like it, whatever. It is what it is. So I'm going to do it this morning. And I just had this tiny window of time and what happened. But it's also just interesting to process and think about and decide Is it because I need a little more buffer and a little more white space for just these times? Right? Or is it just part of the package?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
As you're saying all this, I think it probably is just kind of what it is, right? Because I think you are creating the life that you want by being intentional with the time that you are focused on things and the spaces for when your kids are around and whatever. And yeah, I mean, then you can decide if you want more. But it sounds like that's kind of what motherhood is also, right? It's just being flexible. Kids are sick. All right, I'm going to cancel my appointments today if I can, or I'll call in for family sick if I can, or whatever, right? If there's a job that you're committed to. But yeah, anyway, good job. I think still back about the feelings, I think that this has been my big push with coaching. Quite a few of my clients lately, it's come up, but how we don't necessarily notice how we feel and let it help us. Like a lot of times we just feel this way and we just feel stuck or frustrated or annoyed. But sometimes I think letting that feeling just like let it help us to assess what's going on. And in reality, the most important part, I think, is actually like letting ourselves feel it. Like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit anxious right now because my schedule got shifted. Okay, I'm going to just let myself feel anxious. And to me, that means like noticing where it is inside my body so that it doesn't have to feel so scary or uncomfortable. And a lot of times it'll actually even like loosen up my body, like on the inside. And then I can keep moving forward with the way I want to show up rather than holding on to this anxiety as the day's different than I wanted it to be. Oh man, you guys stop yelling. Oh wait, I'm yelling at them. Do you know what I mean? Like it's something different than I want to be and enjoying what the day is.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my other little.
Well, so I don't know. I just heard something that was really cool on the parent coaching webinar thing that our school district does every month. They have a webinar. And it's pretty fun because I'm not behind, but I'm not on the live one. So they did a live one this week and I'm like, I actually never listened to the one I really wanted to from last month. So then I tracked it down, figured out where it was, because initially they'd been emailing them to us, but I didn't have it in my email. And so then I reached out to the lady and she's like, oh, it's on the website. So I found it. Not that that even matters, but a little funny that it's what the new one that was happening that I could have attended live. I'm like, oh well, I'm going to listen to the one from last time because the one to this week was part 2. I'm like, I want part 1 first. But in there, the guy who is, I'm going to get his credentials wrong. He is in the mental health field. I can say that safely. And he's fairly local. Like he's probably up in Utah Valley. But he talked about the function of emotions, and the way he said it was this, so we'll see what you think of it. But he's like, emotions are energy, right? The limbic system in our brain sending impulses, and it's energy that is, how did he say it now? And the purpose of them is to put us into motion. So is that an exact definition of what you've heard?
Like not an exact, but yes, I think we're fueled by our emotions. And sometimes if we are feeling like anxious or ornery or annoyed or whatever, it kind of halts our progress. And if we're filled with like something that's a little more light, then that can be more motivating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because he went on and talked about that too. But what I loved about him just saying the purpose of our emotions is the energy that's going to put us in motion. Which explains, and we've talked about this before too, like any emotion, negative emotion, positive emotion, it's like, what can this emotion be telling me about something? Right? And so you just explore it. Gretchen Rubin has talked about envy, right? Like envy can be a really helpful emotion because if you notice you're envying something, you can be like, oh, like I can do something about that. I'm envying that they have this other job that I don't have. Maybe actually that's my direction. Maybe not, right?
Yeah, maybe I want to look into a different job. Maybe that actually would be good for me, right? Yes.
Yeah, and it's not keeping up with the Joneses, and it's not doing what everybody else does.
Right.
But even if I notice I'm envious of the fact that my neighbor has a really great yard, right? Then I might just notice I like seeing a well-kept yard, right? And actually, I do have a neighbor who loves flowers and stuff. And so what I've started doing is I'll just tell her, I'm like, I love your flowers because I love flowers. But I've also realized for a number of reasons, I don't want to spend all my time in my yard doing flowers, right?
Yeah.
But that envy, if you want to put it that way, and I don't know that I had envy with her. That probably was years ago or whatever, because I'd noticed at some point, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do everything connected with that. I just want to enjoy the flowers. I can enjoy them in whoever's yard and tell them how much I love what they've done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just that idea that the function of emotion is that energy, that impulse is sent from the brain into the body, however it's sent, to put us into motion. And then he did continue to talk about what happens when we have a high energy emotion and a low energy emotion. And there are emotions that are high energy that are helpful and those that are not. And there are low energy emotions that are helpful and there are those that are not. But then he talked about the way it creates flow when the emotion is like an outward energy, whether it's low or whether it's high. And he explained it more. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it was just cool. And as you're talking about, just notice the emotion and let yourself feel it. I think it opens things up. It allows me to then go and just enjoy the fact my neighbor does what she does, rather than not even getting to enjoy that because I'm just like, well, why am I so cranky about it?
Yeah. And even turning it into judgment of her, like, how does she have so much time to spend in her yard? She must not be being a good parent or whatever, right? Where it doesn't need to go to that either. It's just, this is interesting that this is what I'm noticing and feeling. And yeah, do I want to do something about it?
Continue listening to the second half of our conversation in episode 47. Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Amy Rasmussen.
And I'm Lorna Adams. See you next week at Moms.